Hello, I'm Indunil Ranawake, and we are a research team from Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology, and we are supervised by Dr. Dharshana Kasthurirathne. And our project, our research is in the domain of motion graphics, and motion graphics is within the area of industry of video production, and there is this genre of motion graphics called futuristic UIs or fictional UIs, sometimes they call it. But you may not familiar with the name, but you have definitely seen it in the movies or especially in video games and documentaries and even TV commercials. The thing about these animations is that they're so complex to make. Even to create a simple animation, it involves creating a lot of individual elements and animating them one by one by some artist. So that takes a lot of time, and that's the problem we are going to solve. The purpose is to come up with a method that can accept a 2D design and analyze it to identify the individual shapes, each and every individual shape that constructs the whole design, and as lines and arcs and shapes, and mathematically define them so we can render them in a rendering engine and finally come up with a 2.5D animation. So that's, if we succeed, we should be able to convert a 2D design to a 2.5D motion graphics within seconds. Actually, we did. This is one of the outcomes that we have achieved. So the hypothesis, main hypothesis, the hypothesis one is that given a 2D design, you can decompose it to individual shapes that is either simple open shapes like lines and arcs, or enclosed shapes such as circles or squares, or complex shapes such as the one here, which is an overlapping several shapes overlapping with each other. So the hypothesis 2 is that whatever the shape that you identified here can be reduced and find the skeleton of it with these some very important properties. If you look at the black pixels, each and every pixel has adjacent pixels, but those adjacent pixels are not adjacent to each other. But these green pixels, if you consider this pixel, it has adjacent pixels, three adjacent pixels, but they're adjacent to each other. So these green pixels are actually potential joints. So with the hypothesis 3 is that with further a bit more processing, we can find these green pixel clusters which represents the joints. So any cluster, you can find the centroid of it, and if you find the centroid, that's the definite point where these two lines intersect. So when you're given a complex shapes such as in this case it's 4 lines overlapping with each other, and you can find the centroid of each joint, and once you find it, these four overlapping lines are further decomposed into 12 simple open shapes, which are also connected with the centroids, and which is really important later when we resolve overlappings. So the hypothesis 4 is that whatever the individual the simple shapes that we come up with, you can further approximate them as lines and arcs. I'm coming back to this later. So the literature that we have referred to is one of them is actually DB-scan technique, clustering algorithm. That's how we identified the individual shapes that makes up a whole design. So what we do is when we feed the system with this kind of a design, we run the DB scan on it, and it would find the separate pixel clusters. That one pixel cluster is actually one single individual shape that makes up the whole design. So the other one is the fast parallel thinning algorithm proposed by Zheng and Zhen in 1984. It's a pretty long, old algorithm, but works beautiful for us. We can find the skeleton of any complex shape, along with some a little bit more modifications to it. We can find the ending pixels as well as the joints. So the methodology, the main part is the first part is the finding the individual shapes and thinning them, and the secondary processing is that is this part. You find the you further decompose them into until you find a set of open simple shapes, and then you approximate those shapes as lines and arcs. That's a tertiary processing, and finally what you get is the whole complex design defined as a set of lines and arcs. So that's the end of it. So approximating a line is that now this is a hand-drawn line. Now you can thin it using the algorithm, and so the ending and starting and ending pixels, you can draw a hypothetical line connecting the ending and starting pixels, and then find each and every pixel's deviation from that line. Calculating the deviation is really simple. If this is the line, you know all 3 points. So finding this deviation is really simple. It's a simple 2D geometric problem. So once you find it, all the deviations from each and every pixel, you can average them. If this average is lower than a certain threshold, you can approximate this as a line. If it is not, you can approximate it as an arc. If in case of an arc, now you can do this. Now the deviations are higher for an arc, as you can see. So the average is higher than the threshold, so you can approximate it as an arc. The challenge is to render this arc, this blue arc right here. You know the now at this point you know the the deviation, maximum deviation point. But in order to render the arc, you need 4 properties. That is, one is radius, second one is the arc angle length, the angle which this chord make in the center of the arc, and the rotation of it, how much the arc is rotated, and of course the center of the circle. So you can find the center of the chord because it's a straight line. Finding the center of the straight line is very simple. Since this is a rectangle, you can find it's easy to find this length, and you can find this angle, the beta. Of course, it's since this is a rectangle, it's sine inverse over d over L. And I'm not going into detail, but you can show that the length arc length angle is actually 4 times this angle, this beta. And of course r sine theta, this is a rectangle, AEC is a rectangle, so r sine theta equals to L cos beta. So that gives you r. Remember that this angle, this triangle is an isosceles angle, so that's also very important. Now alpha, the rotation of the arc, actually is given by tan inverse this amount. I'm not going into detail once again. This looks a bit overwhelming when you look at it, but if you refer to the paper, actually this is very simple. It's a 2D geometric problem. So the findings, actually the biggest finding is that our method works slightly better with the software drawn designs rather than hand drawn designs. Now this is a hand drawn design. It's a hand drawn design. So software drawn design is that when you use a tool such as Photoshop or Illustrator to draw your design, it's perfect than the hand-drawn design. So our method works well for that. This shows that the software drawn shapes shows a higher pass rate when approximating lines and arcs. And findings for the line overlappings, actually, I'm not going into detail once again because of the time constraints, but at a glance you can see that software drawn overlapping shapes shows much higher pass rate than the hand-drawn ones. It's 83% over 66%. This plot once again proves the same thing. Software drawn designs shows much higher accuracy than the hand-drawn designs. Now this is the outcome. You can see that this 2D design has been converted into a 2.5D animation. This is another result. Actually, these animations are created in seconds once you feed the design into the system. This doesn't mean that the system doesn't have flows. It has restrictions, because one of the most prominent one is that when you use higher brush sizes, the thinning algorithm breaks apart. Because for the higher brush sizes, thinning algorithm inherently leaves out some spurs like these. So these spurs has to be cleaned. We have a way to do that. Actually, some implementation is there as well, but still, it's not that efficient. It slows down the system. So definitely, it's a future work that we have. So with that, we come to the conclusion of our presentation. So, yeah, thank you very much.